Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dave Neal here, stand-up comedian and power recapper of Bachelorette. This is the guys' review, and we are back here in studio. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh, it feels great to be back in studio. I'm bloated. Belize was amazing. I am sunburnt. Belizean bad boy. R.I.P. We are back, moving on with life, and a lot of people have asked, hey, Dave, what's going to become of Linen Shirt Dave? What are you doing? It's like, listen, I'm not retiring him, but he's in the garage, okay? Linen Shirt Dave is a sports car that only comes out for holidays. I don't need to water down the effects of the linen. In the meantime, just to show you guys, I'm wearing my long shirts. These suns out for the guns out recaps can't last forever, but we can continue to have a good conversation. Thank you guys so much for being a part of my channel and for being so loyal to me while I was on break. Now, of course, I still made probably 20 videos or so, but, I really mailed it in for you. You wouldn't expect anything less. Mailed it in. Mail it in for me. Hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers by the end of Katie's season. Can we do that? 40 for Katie. Can we do that by the end of the season? I think we're sitting around 37. So anyway, bump the Harrison on the like button and subscribe like your life depends on it, if you so choose. All right, and then tomorrow I'll have a new Patreon episode out. We'll be doing another Patreon episode for people where I'll break down everything that's been going on in my world. But of course, I have been following The Bachelorette, you would hope so, and Katie's hitting the home stretch. And when you hit the home stretch, the men that might not make it often end up becoming viable contenders for the next season of The Bachelor. So let's talk about what's his name? Jeez, Andrew S. and Michael. There's always a Brandon, right? Andrew S. and Michael, let's talk about them and which one we think will be the next Bachelor, if it's them indeed. And of course, Bachelor producers are starting to cast for the show and all that jazz. So in this article, who's getting the Bachelor edit on The Bachelorette? How the show frames the contestant's departure makes all the difference. So what can we take away from how Andrew Spencer and Michael A. left Katie's season? Now, I believe there is such a thing as a Bachelor edit, but I also believe a lot of that comes with who you are as a person. Do you fit the mold as an ex-Bachelor, or are you sort of a cog in the machine of Bachelor Nation? Did you fit some villainous role or troublemaker, bad boy? There's plenty of people out there that are just tailor-made for Bachelor in Paradise. Looking at you, Kenny, but of course wouldn't be mainstream enough for our conservative, heart-loving, very centrist show Bachelor. And I say that in jest, but the truth is, when it comes to The Bachelor, they're trying to get people that see the show for its family values, and they're trying to get the people that are just there to watch fantasy suites happen in the back of a Ford F-150 pickup truck or wherever they're doing fantasy suites. Wouldn't that be nice, though? Wouldn't that be nice? Excuse me, if they did a fantasy suites where they're like, all right, in lieu of your own hotel room, fantasy suites will take place at spots that people normally have sex when they're new into a relationship. Underneath the bleachers, the back of a Ford F-150 at a basketball game, just some random locations. Like, you're at your mom's your childhood bedroom. Okay. Anyway, folks. So let's jump right into this article. I'm just going to glaze through this. Justin Glazer. See, he was an early Bachelor contender, but I guess his hopes have faded, some may say. So we'll go over Andrew S. He issued us some apologies for his past tweets and what we think about Michael becoming Bachelor. So somewhere in the middle of each season on The Bachelorette, most of the men on the show go from being candidates to marry the lead to being candidates to become the next lead, such as the order of events dictated by the natural cycle of Bachelor Nation. Each season must beget another. As a Bachelorette begins to narrow down her choices, it no longer makes sense for the series to continue promoting soon-to-be cast-offs as potential suitors. That energy is instead funneled towards setting them up for future seasons, ensuring the everlasting life of the franchise. And that is so true, right? At the end of a winter, you start to see the emergence of spring, and the show goes on. After these relationships fail, we try to set them up with someone new. And that says something about us, too, as humans, like wanting either a redemption story, or we don't like the finality. We don't like the finality of Michael not finding love, right? We found this stranger on our TV shows, and we're like, we want to root for him, you know what I mean? There are different ways the Bachelor brain trust pulls this off, but almost always they will edit and frame an ending more like a beginning, either depicting a candidate's total heartbreak and failed quest for love, as unresolved, or positioning him or her as a strong-willed victim of bad decision-making, a person who still believes in love and that this process can work, despite having just been brutally dumped. If you can picture contestants' final moments also being part of a lead's first moments, that montage that they run every premiere recapping the new Bachelor, Bachelorette's journey to this point, then it's likely that that contestant has gotten a future Bachelor, Bachelorette edit. When Claire tore into Juan Pablo after he broke up with her, "I would never want my children having a father like you," that was her getting the edit, even if it took 6 years for the franchise to cash in on it. When Pilot Pete tearfully and graciously accepted Hannah B's rejection and then went on live TV to do it even more, as well as talk about how much windmill sex he had, that was him getting the edit. All right, so we understand what the edit is. So we understand what it is. Now the question is going to become, how did their departure kind of factor into them getting the edit? Last week, Andrew was simply the odd man out. He told Katie he was falling in love with her, but in the end, she didn't feel the same. From the backseat of his post-breakup car ride, a central location for recently dumped people to pitch themselves as a future lead, he said a bunch of future Bachelor stuff. "It's heartbreaking. I poured myself in every little bit of this, and she had stronger connections with everyone else. It hurts because I put everything into it." But that wasn't all. The next day, Andrew returned, stopping at Katie's hotel room because, as he put it would be a terrible shame if I'd left this place with us not having a smile on our faces. Andrew and Katie proceeded to have a conversation that mostly repeated previously established points. She had stronger connections. He was sad about that because his connection was real, but that also, that also allowed Andrew to lavish praise on Katie and thus look like the most upstanding gentleman to ever upstand. But that wasn't all. Okay, so it just goes back and forth. Michael's departure on Monday wasn't nearly as cinematic. Whacked by guilt, but with his son over FaceTime, he said, the son said, "Maybe Daddy left because he don't want to see me." Michael made the definitely correct decision to cut his time on the show short and head back home to be with his kid. It was an emotional goodbye. Katie professed that she saw a future with Michael, and she once again walked into a hotel hallway without shoes or socks on. For his part, Michael said pretty amazing things like, "I'm not leaving because of us. I'm leaving because my son needs his dad. You taught me how to love again." It all culminated with Katie's eyeliner running like that infamous gif of Lauren Conrad crying. All right, so there we have it, folks. They both got a pretty good edit. We have Clay Harbor saying, "Hear me out. We need 2 seasons of The Bachelor in a row after this. One for Michael and one for Andrew." All right. Now, of course, Andrew's his cousin. So, of course, he's got that hometown favorite he's rooting for. And, of course, Katie also did say Andrew S. for Bachelor, but she also said Michael for Bachelor. She basically says everyone she's dumped for Bachelor. She's got that guilt I would have if I broke up with someone. I'd be like, "Kendall for Bachelorette." It's like, what? Do you even like Kendall? It's like, I don't know. We met at a bar, a tiki bar in college. Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, let her have it. Whatever. Whatever the case may be. So anyway, let's play this clip here. Let's see if this doesn't get pulled down. Michael responding at the Men Tell All side interview. They set up these side interviews where they just herd people together and ask a few questions. And we see what he says about the thought of becoming the next Bachelor. Now, and I say this because he left the show because he had to be with his son. And some people have said Blake Horstman, his Instagram story has since gone away because it was more than 24 hours ago. But Blake Horstman said, "Hey, if Katie really saw Michael as like the guy, they would have flown his son in." And I don't know if that's true with COVID in that whole scenario, but probably, like, if Katie really liked him, they wouldn't sabotage Katie because Michael couldn't get his son there. It's not a zero-sum game. It's not a zero-sun game. Okay, folks? Real witty here today. I'm a ray of sunshine. But anyway, the idea that the son is going to be the wedge that stops this relationship from flourishing, probably more likely than not, that storyline was added for the dramatics of making Michael look like a great guy, which he is. But chances are he didn't see her as the stepmom, and she didn't see, herself wanting to move to Ohio. They just knew logistically it wouldn't work. That's my take. Let's see what he has to say about becoming the next Bachelor.
I'm sure when you got home, you knew obviously you'd made the right decision, but at the time, just how hard was it leaving Katie?
Yeah, it's a decision that continues to linger. As a parent, easiest decision in the world. It was the only decision. I think as somebody who's pursuing a love interest and trying to find happiness again, and how difficult it is to actually find that person that completes you in a certain way. I knew that I was giving up an amazing opportunity to be with her. I was able to air out today that I still have feelings for her, And, with everything that she answered, it did give me the closure that I need, that, she's happy, that hopefully she's found someone, and I can begin this process all over again, searching for happiness and love.
And I was just talking to Katie. She said her first pick for the new Bachelor would be yourself.
Well, that means we're not getting back together.
Things are changing. As of now.
Right. Context clues. Honestly, I really haven't given it any thought, and I really mean that. I was really nervous about today, and so I wanted to get closure. I attach myself to people that I care about, so there's a process there for me, and nothing's been offered. So as of this point, I've got nothing to even think about.
Would you be willing to continue this crazy journey even further with James? Could you do?
I am somebody that immediately sees the risk.
Nope, sorry.
So quite frankly, I'm not incredibly interested in it at the moment. I need to, if something were to be offered or discussed, I need to really understand who would they be casting, because you have to go into that getting engaged, and how do I introduce that person to my son?
I'm sure.
All right, so there it is, folks. There it is.
You made the right decision, but
all right, it plays on loop there, so we got to stop that. So of course, I just pulled up this tab here. As we see, eligible bachelorettes, divorcees, and single mothers. We love to add like a French word, divorcee. We have to make it divorcee, divorcee. Anyway, point is, they are now casting for different people, single mothers. We might be into something. Bachelor Cassie says, do you fit the bill? Apply to be on the next season of The Bachelor now. Now, this season would film in the fall, the timeline of things is as follows, all right? We've got Bachelor in Paradise, which has already been shot. It's in the can. That airs August 16th. Michelle's season will start filming this or next week, very shortly. And then we've got Michelle's season will air, on Tuesdays starting late mid-September, I believe. September. So then shortly after that is when the next season of Bachelor will film, and it will air the first week of January. So the beat goes on. We just keep moving along, folks. So the question is, will it be Michael A. or Andrew Spencer? Let's just keep going on with now, because Andrew Spencer did apologize. I don't know if I can find that story right here. It's really, here it is. It's really not something I'm going to dive too far into. He apologized for his old tweets. Bachelorette fan favorite Andrew Spencer apologizes for past tweets. Not who I am. We expected this apology to happen, which is fine. It talks and reinforces the idea that we aren't who we were in our past, and we can still own up and tell people this was wrong, which should be obvious in a lot of cases, but it's good to just pinpoint that, state where you were wrong, and move forward. He says, that's really immature, Spencer said of his past tweets. I own it, and I don't downplay anything about it. I'm really sorry that people had to see that side of me. He said he's taking accountability for what he wrote and doesn't want to hide it, and clarifies that the tweets are 100% not who I am and not who my family raised me to be. That's a part of my life, and I own it, and that's nowhere near the person I am today. I obviously show that every single day in how I speak. If my mom would have saw those tweets, she would have whooped my or my A for sure, something like that. Spencer isn't the only contestant on this year's season. Justin Glaze, we all know, we went over that story of what he said in the past. What I said was ignorant and hurtful then, and it's ignorant and hurtful now. And of course, where there's going to be some other examples of contestants. They are already coming out from Michelle's season that might vote differently than she does, that might have different points of views than she does. We'll cover it, but we're going to cover it with a grain of salt, because I don't know these jabronis. I don't know these guys. I'm not going to fall on a sword for them, but I'm also not going to immediately think that they're all villains. Has the show vetted them? Are they on the final list? Who knows? So we'll get into some of that in a future video. Also, my next video is going to be about Simone Biles. Simone Biles or Bile? Either way, let's see here. Simone, she's sort of like quit due to mental health, some aspects of the Olympics. I think we all know the story. If we don't, I'll go over it. And we'll talk about that in some of the criticism she's gotten from like Piers Morgan and some other people that are like, oh, she's lazy, she's letting the country down. We'll get into all of it. I already know which of you are going to have certain opinions on it, because guess what? Turns out not many people change their thoughts and opinions on things. We just settle down into the quicksand, which is our life. So I challenge everyone out there to just, see the other side of the coin. And if you don't agree with it, at least for future information gathering, you know how other people think. Wouldn't that be nice if we did that? Just not always hated our enemy, but just understood where they were coming from, even when we disagree. I don't know, folks. Sounds pretty crazy. So here's this story. We'll just end on this. Just a quick, this was an interesting little theory. You can leave a comment, let me know what you think. Does anyone else think the producers manipulated Michael's son into saying that? Of course, saying, why do you think, of course, saying, does whatever he said, my dad doesn't love me anymore, whatever it was he said. You guys know what he said. Like, as they were preparing the phone call, one of the producers talked to his son on the phone and said something like, why do you think your dad hasn't come back, etc.? Or have I been watching too much Unreal? The producers control the cell phone so they would have had easy access. So, again, there's no right answer to this. It's a sort of a hypothetical. But do we? I guess it's not a hypothetical. Do you think producers manipulated Michael's son into saying what he did to get Michael off the show? Someone said, well, part of it was bitten, which is the term used when they kind of splice together different audio clips to make a different saying. The idea of them frankenbiting a 4-year-old, which is absolutely what happened, is hilarious to me. Like, it's so bizarre and arguably wrong that it becomes hilarious. I mean, there are a lot of things that are wrong in this world that are very funny. And it is true. The idea of like a 4-year-old going, Daddy, why you love me? Like, and some editors like, well, if we clip on this note, his intonation goes down and it picks it up here and it'll sound, it's like, come on, what are we doing? You know what I mean? It would be a coincidence, but I thought it was weird that James was getting up and away from the camera when he said that. I think it was frankenbitten to some degree. He's literally 4. I think it was probably taken away out of context. If Michael A. let producers speak to his 5-year-old son on the phone unsupervised and or let them manipulate him, that would be a huge red flag. So again, we just don't know, but the fact that we're even having these questions goes to show how just like slimy the whole process is. So just remember, folks, don't ever trust anything that you see that's already on an edited TV show, because God knows we only get a slice of the pie. We got some other videos coming your way. Claire Crowley's going under the knife this week to remove her breast implants, toxic breast implant syndrome. Is that what it's called? We'll get into that story. Good for her, and talk more about mental health. And speaking of my mental health, so great to be back in Los Angeles. Thank you guys all who have donated the daiquiri fund that have helped to make my vacation very enjoyable. As some of you guys know, my fiance and I, along with her parents and brother, stayed at the second half of our trip at an Airbnb, which was beautiful in San Pedro, Belize. Thank you so much to our host of that Airbnb, Teresa. She is a member of my Patreon and follows the YouTube channel, and she knew we were going to be in town and put us up in a beautiful and brilliant beachside 2-floor, amazing. It was amazing setup, and I wanted to thank you guys personally because we've all got these insecurities. I'm always trying to please my fiance's parents. You know what I mean? Because it's like my parents, they're gonna love me no matter what I do, but like her parents, like I want them to believe in me. Believes in me. So the fact that they were able to stay at this beautiful place because of one of you guys, and you're all a part of that because you all contribute such insightful comments, likes, subscribes, and all that, and it all culminates into a larger platform for me to do my thing. So for me to give back to you guys and make some videos while also on vacation, enjoying the family and enjoying sharing my content with you guys, it really meant a lot to me. So thank you guys all so much. Linen Shirt Dave had a blast. There'll be more videos and photos and all that about Linen Shirt Dave. If you don't know what I'm talking about, get over to my Instagram and you can see I'll be posting some Linen Shirt Dave photos. Good to be back home. Good to see our dog Boone. He's held the fort down. And I will have plenty of content coming your way. Back to the live streams Thursday, 4 p.m. So we'll be doing that. In the meantime, hang out. See you in the comments section. Bye, everybody.